Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of DaneMellowsTalks, or the DaneMellowsTalks podcast. Now, the reason that some of you might be watching this on YouTube and some of you might be listening to it on Spotify is because I'm trying to make the most out of this and I'm trying to I'm trying to put it on two platforms at the same time. So audio is just going to be purely on Spotify. And then if you want to watch me talk as well, I don't really know why you'd want to watch me talk, but I've got a nice little setup here and everything, then that is going to be uploaded onto YouTube. So just let me get my notes up for this one. So this is going to be basically a little quick introduction episode. If you are wondering what this is, for the audio listeners, I've got like a little microphone. It should make it sound better if I put it in front of it, but then look at this on video now. You'll be able to see if this sounds any better, but then you just can't see my mouth moving, really. So it's just like, you just be watching me just sit like that. It's going to be a bit weird. So I've decided I'll shift it off for the other ones, but I've decided to keep it on for this one just for convenience for me, really. So if you don't already know, then my name is Dane Mellows. Like I said, I'm starting this podcast. I'm very excited for it. If you haven't already seen, then I've been trying to do something like this for probably the past year almost. Why have my headphones just turned off? I've really fallen in love with it ever since I interviewed Max Whitlock, and I genuinely just have. I've fallen in love with it, and I've tried multiple times in my last year at uni, in my third year, to interview some other people. I interviewed my mate Jason. I was lucky enough then to interview Beth Shriver, an Olympic BMXer. Max Whitlock's an Olympic gymnast as well, and also I interviewed Tom Dean, but that one wasn't recorded. He's an Olympic swimmer. They're all gold medalists as well. That's just a little subtle flex. But no, yeah. So I've had a lot of opportunities to interview. I interviewed my mate Layla, my mate Elena. We had a podcast going the past couple of years at uni called Uncalled For. The episodes of that are still up. I think we only got to like 6 or 7 episodes, but hopefully I can get a few more out with this. So we had a couple of guests on with that. We had our mate Zach. We had my mate Ben. So we had a few strong ones with that, but we enjoyed it. And now I finished uni, and I want to kind of go down my own route with it. So with this, there are going to be a lot of solo episodes. Whoops, I got to make sure I don't hit this mic. There are going to be a lot of solo episodes, but there are also going to be guest episodes. So the solo episodes first, I'm going to be talking about genuinely whatever I want to talk about. Not to sound arrogant, but for me to enjoy this, it has to be something that I enjoy talking about. It has to be something that like I can actually engage in. And so one of the things I will be talking about is Marvel. If you don't already know, then I absolutely love Marvel. So a lot of things about that. I'm not the biggest on the comics. I've listened to a few comics. I've read one or two. So what I thought might be good is some of the upcoming stories that the films are going to go into, or the series, whatever. I could like read up on them, and then I can kind of talk about them, so then you don't have to do your own research on them. I thought that might be quite a cool idea, maybe some theories on that as well. Another big topic would be uni. Through all my uni, I've been talking about my experience through uni, for the uni, for YouTube, this, that, and the other. And to this day, I still get asked a lot of questions by upcoming students, so I figured talking about things like uni life, nights out, accommodation, everything really. I feel like that would be really useful. And I enjoy talking about uni. If you didn't see that video I put out of Can't Hold Us, it was like my 3 years at uni, all the best videos I just threw them all into one video, and I really enjoyed making that as well. So if you can't tell, I like talking about uni. So other things that I was maybe going to talk about on this was like conspiracy theories. But that's just one I threw on this notes page to talk about today. Just as I was writing it, just because I thought, well, it genuinely is just going to be things that interest me and hopefully interest you. And get in touch with me if you want me to talk about anything on here, because I'm very open to ideas on it. Okay, so the guest episodes, I've got a few mates that are very, very interesting and that have a lot of interesting stories, and that I know that would be good on a podcast, so those would be good episodes. But then also I've got a few guests in mind that I need to do a bit more work to be able to get them on. They're going to be a bit harder to get on. They're going to be more people that other people would pay to have on a podcast, but obviously I'm not in any position to be paying people to come on this podcast yet. So don't worry about it. I know a few people. I know a guy. I'll get them on. Don't worry. But yeah, so a bit about me is what I actually plan to start this episode with, but it's going to be a bit of a ramble tangent episode, but it's going to be fun. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, so a bit about me is I love radio. Okay, I love podcast radio, and I got into that through joining Jam Radio at uni. I've just finished at the uni of Hull. But I also love marketing as well. And as a career, I'm completely bouncing between the two. But it recently hit me. I was like, well, why can't I just do both? You know, you can find careers that that both of them fall into. So this is one of the things that I want to be doing. This podcast that I want to be doing that is gonna elevate my chances to get into that, because podcasting, radio, they come hand in hand. And then also marketing with it. I'm going to be doing a lot of marketing, a lot of advertising with this. So I don't know. I just think it's going to be something that I'll enjoy. It's going to be something fun, and hopefully like you can enjoy it too. Then also through radio, I've become a DJ, which I'll get onto in a little bit. Last week I was on Radio 1, which was just mad. That was like a little feature on Newsbeat, which I was so thankful for. And also I've just graduated this year from history from the University of Hull, like I mentioned before. So two things that I thought that I could talk about on this episode as like a bit of an introduction. I hate saying this, but as like a bit of a get to know me kind of thing, is one, something that I get asked quite a bit is how I became a DJ. Because if you knew me before I became a DJ, I had like no interest whatsoever in becoming a DJ. So that's a bit of a story, and then also how I got involved in radio and how really I got to this point. So the DJ one first is actually no. Let me flip those around. Let me get radio first, because then it kind of flows through into one. So radio, I was always told before I went to uni to get involved in societies and get involved in as much new things as you can. So one of the things that I went into uni being interested about was radio, and I'd never done it before. But I went in, saw that the uni had a radio station. I was like, great, let me pick up a leaflet. I think I've got the leaflet somewhere. I don't know where it is exactly, but picked up a leaflet. I was like, yeah, I'll drop him a message. We'll see what happens. It'd be nice to get involved in stuff as well. So I did that. I got involved in it, and it was kind of an abandoned society. I think there was like one or two people left in before we took over it, and then there was me, Jack Wilfan, Ben Redfern, and a couple of others as well. That kind of went in. We took it over. We all took exec positions, and we kind of made it our own. Honestly, massive shout out to those two for elevating the station. I was completely riding their coattails the whole time. And then it got to a point in the third year that I became station manager of it, which was absolutely amazing. I loved my third year being so involved with radio. I do feel like between being station manager and obviously my dissertation, all the assignments in my third year and everything, that is kind of a reason why I kind of had to hold back a bit on things like this and doing it myself. But it was so worth it to get that experience and to get so many other people started in it. Like the amount of podcasts we have now on the uni radio station is mad, and they're all so good as well. So yeah, I highly recommend having a look at those as well if you get the chance. But yeah, so I became station manager in my third year, and it was in my second year, just after lockdown? It was as we went back in September in 2020. So COVID was still very relevant and everything. Everyone was still a bit iffy on it, and the clubs had opened up again. The clubs, they weren't exactly clubs as they were, and the pubs as well. It was all benches, and everyone had 6 per table, and everyone has a socially distanced 2 meters, this, that, and the other. And unfortunately, the regular DJ at the uni club had long COVID. So they asked us to come in, fill in, and step in. So me and my mate Jack, we went up. I think Ben went up first, actually, but I ended up going up with Jack because he'd done a bit of DJing over the summer. So then I kind of went up, didn't have a clue what I was doing. And then week by week, we got asked up again. And I'd learned like a little bit more from Jack, to the point where I was so interested in it, and how like we could mix songs together and how you could like create your own thing on the spot. I was like, I kind of want to do this myself. So I bought Jack's decks off him, and so obviously now we have gone into how this is now the DJ story, if you haven't already caught on. I bought Jack's decks off him, and just started practicing myself, just in my bedroom. I'd throw a few things together, see what worked, see what didn't work. It was very bad at the start, don't get me wrong, but we was on stage. I always say I learned how to DJ in front of a crowd, and then I got the decks, and then I took it to my bedroom, and then started practicing, and then I could go up, do a bit of the set, and then it got to the point after Christmas. Oh god, yeah, we went into another lockdown then. But it did get to a point where we was at beer garden season, and I was at a good enough point where I could split the set with Jack. So Jack did half, I did half, and we had a little good he did a lot of throwbacks, I did a lot of dance and pop and like nightclub stuff, and it worked really well. And even those mixes, then I look back at some of the ones I recorded, and I'm like, oh, they could have been a lot better. I'm sure like in a year's time, I'll look back at some of the mixes and some of the sets that I've put together now and be like, oh yeah, they could have been a lot better. But that's the whole thing of like, it's constantly improving what you're doing and stuff like that. But the best part of the DJing that I've done came in my third year, because that's when I'd been DJing for just over a year at this point, maybe even just under a year. And clubs were back. It wasn't clubs anyway, it was clubs. Now it was nightclubs. You could go back in, no social distancing, no masks. You could go. And I was so excited because we got put on, myself and Ben, we got put on the Freshers Week. I think we got put in the same week as Dick and Dom and Fat Man Scoop. And I always say that. I was like, yeah, I played the same club in the same week as Dick and Dom and Fat Man Scoop. That night, I'd loved DJing beforehand, but I fell in love with it that night. I fell in love with DJing in front of a crowd. Before that, it was more just, I loved the mixing and I loved the actual concept of DJing and actually working it out for myself, but it was purely just for me. And then as soon as we got into the clubs, I was like, oh wow, this is now something that I absolutely love, hearing the reaction of people, when I put a mix out and it got a good reaction, and people were dancing, like jumping up and down. It was the feeling of it, honestly, it was unreal. I put a Freshers Week video out, actually. That was probably one of the last videos that I like a video that I edited together. And in that, I've got clips from it. It was absolutely insane. Then we did some other ones as well. We did Halloween. We did a DJ battle against Crystal Clear, which was really fun. And there's some stuff that I do when I get so energetic that I look back on and I'm like, I don't remember doing that at all. There was one of the things that I did in the DJ battle that we did. I think that was only end of April as well. But one of the things I did, there was like, and let's hear it for Jam Radio. And everyone was, yeah. And I was like, oh my, it completely went to me. I was like, yeah. I think there's like this barrier thing at the front of the stage, and then it drops down to the dance floor so no one can like climb up. And I stood on that and like hung up on the side. I was like, yeah. And my days, I like to look back on it, I cringe a little bit, but in the moment I was just like, I was so into it, and I loved it. I was in a flow state. I think that's what you call it. I was in a flow state where I was just going. I was on a massive high. My mates were there. They were all cheering. I was like, yeah. But yeah, what a night. Every night DJing has been like that. I DJed the same night as Wes Nelson, which doesn't mean a lot to me because I don't really watch Love Island, and I don't know if it means a lot to people who watch Love Island, but it's a little interesting fact I like to throw in there. But yeah, that is the story about how I became a DJ, and also how I got involved in radio and jam radio specifically, and how I really fell in love with things like doing this. Because to be honest with you, before uni, I would have never ever done anything like this, sat in front of a camera with a microphone and a little thing there, and just started talking about stuff about me, because that's the other thing as well that I thought of before I started filming this episode, actually, that I hate to talk about myself, but I'm just going to have to try and get over that, and just talk about stuff in just a normal way. We're just having a chat, really. But yes, that has been the first episode of DaneMellowsTalks, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, then like, comment, subscribe and everything. And if you're watching this on Spotify, I don't even know if you can leave ratings and stuff on Spotify. I've heard people say it before, but I have no idea how to do it. So if you can figure it out, and if that is a feature, then go ahead and do it. But thank you very much for listening. There is a lot more to come, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you very much, and bye.